Apple might be preparing its biggest change for its next iPhones, and that's both good and not so good. Samsung apparently has a very interesting Galaxy S coming soon that might be what many of us have asked for. Apple might also be ready to bring a new Apple Watch Ultra, but the changes are hard to confirm. And yes, the future Galaxy Watch series might bring visual upgrades on older strategies. I'm Jaime Rivera, and it's about that time for these 8 interesting topics that I condensed into 4. This is Tech Briefing Powered by MediaTek. So what if I told you that foldables are not the only product we're getting from Samsung's next Galaxy Unpacked? Reports claim that we are also getting smartwatches. Yes, more than one. Thing is, if you join me in liking the classic, this year is the Ultra. And I know at this point it's clear that the company launches the classic or the Ultra every other year. Now, as for those of you waiting for major changes with the base Galaxy Watch 9, that is not happening. That was last year, which means that for this one, we're probably just getting a spec bump according to all the leaked rendered images that we just found. Now, the major story is really the new Galaxy Watch Ultra 2. Leaked renders from that one point to a slightly boxier design, slimmer display bezels, and a refined side button that replaces the previous all-orange look with a more subtle orange outline. We even hear of black, silver, and beige color options making the cut. We also heard software changes are playing a major role. Samsung is reportedly preparing a redesigned Samsung Health experience, an updated watch face selection interface, and refreshed app visuals. I'm not gonna lie, I'm even hoping that they don't try to reinvent the wheel when it comes to the user interface and just simply adopt the basic way Wear OS works, but we'll see. What is clear is that the company is focusing on refining both the hardware and software experience rather than introducing major hardware redesigns, and honestly, I'm all for that. With the launch only a couple of weeks away, more details about performance, battery life, and health tracking upgrades are expected to emerge at some point, so stay tuned. Also, which of these 2 watches would you pick in the comments? Alright, so remember everything we heard about the Galaxy S27 Pro months ago? Yeah, you can kind of scratch that. It won't be just the replacement for the base model. Instead, it's almost like if Samsung has heard us wanting a smaller Ultra, which, yeah, is a long overdue desire of many of us since the Galaxy Note 10 series. Now, don't worry, the base and the Plus might still make the cut, but that's something I'll talk about later. First, it seems that the Galaxy S27 Pro sits just below the Ultra, and as such, shares a ton of flagship features. For example, if you liked Samsung's privacy display technology, which limits screen visibility from side angles to help protect sensitive information, yeah, that's one feature. It won't be that much smaller than the Ultra, though, at a display size of 6.5 inches diagonal at Quad HD Plus resolution, and yes, this is a dynamic AMOLED 2X display at 1 to 120 Hz refresh rate. Now, as for the cameras, lo and behold, the report calls for a 200 megapixel main camera, a 50 megapixel ultra-wide, and a 50 megapixel telephoto lens with a 3.5x optical zoom. I know, no fourth camera, but seriously, on the Ultra right now, it's more like a crutch. Now, as for internals, we hear of the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 6 Pro chipset. Maybe that's the name, we don't know. But then what is the catch for this Pro? Well, it seems it won't have an S Pen, or not sure if it'll be sold separately. We'll see. Now, as for the base models, well, that one does sound controversial depending on who you ask. Reports claim that the company is considering using OLED panels supplied by BOE instead of Samsung display for the base model in an effort to reduce cost and protect profit margins. Samsung would reportedly continue using its own display technology for the Plus, Pro, and Ultra variants. But then, listen, the reason I'm skeptical is because, well, OnePlus and Oppo use BOE, and those panels are gorgeous and have even been better than Samsung's in recent years. We'll see the final result next year, but for now, let me know what you think about that Pro in the comments. Everything in the Apple Watch is due for some visual refresher, not alone. At this point, the Ultra 3 has kept its same design since its inception. And well, Series 11 is only the second time Apple got more expansive about its display looks. Well, according to Bloomberg's Mark Gurman, this is about to change, sort of. He doesn't really mention changes to the Apple Watch Series 12, and it makes sense. These usually remain looking the same for 3 years or so. What is getting major changes apparently is the Apple Watch Ultra 4. Now, how it's going to change, sadly, was not provided, but it's only a matter of time for something to show up in leaks. Maybe more important is its capabilities. Sources like Gurman and Digitimes call for significant upgrades to sensing functions. But yeah, they also did not provide any specifics to share with you. Sources assume this will be focused mostly on health capabilities, but I'm on the boat that wonders if this will go beyond accuracy. accuracy. We have heard that ideas like non-invasive glucose monitoring are in the works, but we also hear that's years away. Others have called for the possibility that this Apple Watch might get Touch ID either on the display or on the side button, and I'm inclined to this happening in the latter considering what they do with the iPad Mini and Air. Obviously, watchOS 27 will be powering the show, which means it could also introduce fresh watch phases, along with more powerful internals for the new Siri capabilities that are being introduced. Let me know what changes would you like, because in my case, my wish list is all on software features. Now, before we get to the hottest news, let me tell you about today's sponsor, MediaTek. This is the third year where Motorola chooses Dimensity for its most beloved razor, and listen, I can see why. The first and second base razors proved to be great in performance and endurance, and this 2026 razor has only gotten better with its Dimensity 7450X and its advanced 4nm architecture. Seriously, this phone has got the looks, has the feel, but then all this is matched with snappy performance, reliable connectivity, and even better endurance on its slim form factor. It's clearly the reason Motorola continues to trust MediaTek year over year. Thanks to MediaTek for sponsoring this video. And finally, for the hottest news today, let's talk about iPhones, but let's just say these are three separate topics condensed into one to make it easier. So let me start with the first. This fall could bring Apple's biggest change ever to its camera phone, aka the iPhone 18 Pro series. We've seen conflicting rumors on what we're getting for months, but now Mark Gurman has chimed in to add some extra credibility. It seems Apple is significantly enlarging the main camera module, resulting in a camera housing that could be more than 2 millimeters thicker than before. And no, it's not just for the variable aperture. It seems there is a larger sensor coming, which could also explain why the variable aperture becomes convenient, as there is such a thing as too much light for professional video recording. We've seen leaked molds with the possible change already, sort of, not that big of a camera module there, so totally makes sense for this to happen, but apparently this is a new development. That said, I'm hoping it's not just for the primary camera that we're getting a bigger sensor. Now the second is, let's talk about the Air. Gurman also chimed in on the fact that we are getting a refresh, but like other sources called, it won't happen with the Pros. It'll reportedly be launched in the spring along with the iPhone 18 and iPhone 18e, and it's addressing one of the most important things we've all asked for. Yeah, a secondary camera. Gurman claims that this will be an ultra-wide sensor, giving the phone extra versatility, but he also claims that this won't be the only change. We hear of improvements in battery life thanks to the efficiencies of Apple's rumored A20 Pro 2nm chip, though yeah, I also wonder if the speakers are going stereo. But then the third part is the most controversial one. See, Apple has done an incredible job at keeping prices at bay, regardless of all the memory shortages and how the rest of the industry is raising prices. Heck, we've even seen the company go bold with products like the MacBook Neo, but well, that's apparently about to change. According to none other than Tim Cook, a price hike is inevitable at some point, though he didn't specify when. Analysts estimate the manufacturing cost of the base iPhone 18 Pro could jump by as much as $200 just because of this memory pricing. If Apple maintains similar profit margins, some estimates suggest that the device could start approximately at $1299, though we'll see. I mean, we've seen Samsung and Microsoft raise prices significantly on their current products, and apparently we hear that could also happen with the phones that are out today. In today's question, let me know. How much would you be willing to pay for future iPhones? Because in my case, listen, the Pro iPhones got so pro when it came to video recording that they've become a tool. For me, it's invaluable regardless of the price point. Let me know how much you'd be willing to pay in the comments. Friends, again, thank you so much for joining on this new episode of Tech Briefing. Please like, subscribe, join the conversation in the comments, as I'm sure you've seen me try to respond to as many as I can. Also, follow me on social media as more behind-the-scenes work continues to happen there. Also, guys, our Technically There podcast with Josh is coming soon. Sorry, it's taken me longer than expected because of another project I'm working on that you'll know about soon. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.